A female elephant was experiencing her second pregnancy, but this time the birth was longer and more difficult. After hours of intense labor, she finally gave birth. The park team rushed to see the newborn, but what they found left them in complete disbelief. At Mbele National Park in Kenya, the staff noticed that a resident elephant was showing signs that labor was imminent. They quickly called in the veterinarian to assist. This wasn't the elephant's first calf. 2 years earlier, she had given birth, and her first pregnancy had almost gone unnoticed since she carried the baby quietly, without much visible stress or discomfort. However, this time things were different. The team identified her pregnancy in advance. She was visibly heavier and somewhat clumsy, clearly struggling with the gestation. Due to her discomfort, the caretakers decided to monitor her closely. When she began pacing restlessly in her enclosure and trumpeting loudly, they knew the moment was near. However, this labor proved far more complicated than her previous one. She was in intense pain for several hours, crying out to her herd and the team as if pleading for help. Nothing seemed to soothe her. She moved incessantly, rubbing against trees as the birth progressed painfully slowly, making the ordeal even harder to endure. Her cries echoed through the jungle, reverberating off nearby mountains. Predators and scavengers began to gather, drawn by the noise and the possibility of an easy meal. Thankfully, the elephant's herd formed a protective circle around her, keeping the intruders at bay. While the herd was deeply concerned, they focused on safeguarding her during this vulnerable time. The park team anxiously watched, hoping she would pull through. The on-duty veterinarian remained ready to intervene if necessary. Then suddenly the elephant fell silent. The silence was tense, and one of the staff cautiously approached to see if the birth had been successful. What they discovered left them speechless. The staff members shouted for the others, who rushed over to witness something extraordinary. The elephant had given birth to twins. This was an incredibly rare occurrence. Suddenly, her unusually large size during pregnancy made sense. She had been carrying 2 calves, not one. After the initial shock and excitement, the team grew concerned. In the wild, elephant twins are rare for a reason. Raising 2 calves requires immense effort, and often the weaker twin is abandoned because the mother's resources are insufficient to sustain both. The team wanted to help but knew they couldn't intervene. Working in a national park means respecting nature's course, even when it's heartbreaking. They decided to observe from a distance to see what would happen. Watching newborn elephants attempt to stand is always endearing. Their wobbly movements often resemble a drunken stumble, as if their legs don't quite belong to them. For the twins, and this was no different, one of them managed to stand relatively quickly, appearing strong and confident. The team imagined him growing into a dominant male in the future. However, his brother struggled. He tried repeatedly to stand, but couldn't muster the energy. From afar, the rangers could see his exhaustion, which was deeply concerning. Things weren't looking good for the second twin. The mother elephant seemed to sense her weaker calf's distress. Despite her own exhaustion, she approached him, nudging him gently with her trunk and making soft, worried sounds. The rest of the herd noticed her concern and began to approach. Their demeanor shifted as they sensed the fragile state of the second twin. The park team watched in distress, unable to intervene. The herd's concern turned to mourning as they seemed to accept the likelihood that the weaker calf wouldn't survive. In the wild, an animal unable to walk is an easy target. But then something remarkable happened. The struggling twin summoned all his strength and tried once more to stand. This time, as he began to rise, he braced himself for another fall. But before he could hit the ground, his mother wrapped her trunk around him, supporting him. That small gesture gave the calf a burst of energy. He managed to find his balance, and when his mother let go, he stood tall. With her support, he even took his first steps. The herd erupted in celebration, raising their trunks and trumpeting joyfully. Their harmonious sounds echoed through the valley, signaling that the new family members were doing well. Witnessing the birth of elephant twins and the cooperation of the herd was truly extraordinary. What did you think of this heartwarming story? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this one. See you in the next video.